Chapter 2264, The Past Life 189 Alright. I will wait for you here. Nan Changfeng smiled faintly. That smile was warm, like a spring breeze. The ninth emperor pursed her lips and turned away. She sat on top of a high mountain, like a cloud with an immortal aura. She gazed at another mountain not far away. Her back was turned to the man behind her. I'm not going for long this time, Emichim, I know. Nan Changfeng's eyes were gentle, like water. His silver hair fluttered under the light breeze, and his beauty was stunning. The young man's gaze was fixed on the girl in front of him as if she had become his entire world. Suddenly, the ninth emperor felt the young man's hand on her waist, and with a strong pull, he pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. The ninth emperor froze for a moment, and when she looked up, she was confronted by the young man's handsome face. He was stunningly beautiful, even the world was amazed by his beauty. The bottom of his eyes was so gentle that he could drown people in them. Ninth Emperor, I will wait for you at Cloud Mountain. The ninth emperor was stunned and looked at the man with some uncertainty. Why did she have a feeling, like they were parting forever? It all made her very uncomfortable. I'm just leaving for a few days. It's not like I'm not coming back. What's wrong with you? Why do you make it seem like we'll never see each other again? Nothing. Nan Changfeng pulled the girl into his arms, smiling gently. I just can't let you go. After all, since I met you, we have not been away for too long. The ninth emperor's gaze was blank. She was puzzled as she stared at the young man in dismay. She remembered that she had left for a few days when she had just met Nan Changfeng. It was also to the Divine Herb sect. However, Nan Changfeng said that they had been around the whole time. Of course, what the ninth emperor did not know was that Nan Changfeng had been following her every time she left. It was just like not being separated. This time, they were really separated for a few days. He certainly felt a little reluctant. The ninth emperor patted Nan Changfeng's shoulder and smiled faintly. It's all right. I'll be back soon. Besides, you still need to take care of these girls. I don't want my girls to be starving and thin when I come back. Nan Changfeng frowned gently, seemingly not too willing to do that. However, he did not refuse either. Besides, he would ask Qing Zhu to do these things when the time came. That snake. At least after picking it up, it helped him a lot. Otherwise, he felt that the snake was useless. Me for extra chapters. All right, he smiled and nodded. In fact, in this life, he only wanted to take care of the ninth emperor. As for the others, he did not have the slightest interest in taking care of them. All of his tenderness, all of his attention, was only for her. I'll go and pack your bags for you. All right, the ninth emperor nodded. Nan Changfeng turned around and left. The ninth emperor stared at him. She did not know why, but she felt a slight reluctance. As if this time, if she left, she would never see him again. Thinking of this, the ninth emperor chuckled and shook her head. She was just going to the Divine Herb sect. Those 2 pearls of spirit herbs had not seen her and might not want to grow properly. She would be back soon, perhaps. Because of these words, her heart was quietly relieved. She stared in the direction in which Nan Changfeng had just left. She did not know why. Since she met Nan Changfeng, she began to miss him. Especially these days, she would miss him if she did not see Nan Changfeng. Chapter 2265, The Past Life 190. However, because of the 2 spirit herbs, the ninth emperor finally left Cloud Mountain. At the Divine Herb sect, Big Black's body hovered in the air, looking down at the busy people below. Whenever someone tried to approach the back of the mountain, they were scared away by his scary voice. Until, when a familiar figure appeared, his eyes instantly lit up, and he went around. The woman in a long white dress smiled. Her face was covered with a mask, so much that it was impossible to see that face. Whirling, she slowly came down from the sky and landed on the mountain. Big Black, let's go. I want to see those two little ones. I wonder if those two little ones have grown up well after not seeing them for some time. The ninth emperor slowly walked toward the back of the mountain. Big Black's body flickered as he transformed into a young boy in the air, following the ninth emperor. He even had a bright light in his eyes. It seemed that as long as he saw her, his whole mood would be lifted. He just did not know, when would the ninth emperor fall for him. Big Black lowered his head shyly. He then glanced at the woman warmly. The ninth emperor did not notice the gaze behind her. She walked up to those spirit herbs. As she had not used spirit water for watering, the two spirit herbs grew slower than before. She frowned, took the spirit water from the medium, and carefully poured it over the spirit herbs. As expected, when they felt the power of the spirit water, these two little ones waved their leaves joyfully and made rustling sounds. It seems that if I am not here, you two little things will not grow properly. Does Big Black treat you poorly? When Big Black heard this, his expression changed dramatically, looking at the ninth emperor pitifully. It's because they miss you and refuse to let me take care of them properly. I can't help it. It's not my fault. He had done his best to take care of these two little ones. However, these two little ones refused to let him fertilize them properly, and he could not do anything about it. He even told stories to the two little ones just as the ninth emperor did, but he could not even make them grow more. So, it had nothing to do with him. You go to rest first. I'll take care of them. The ninth emperor smiled faintly, facing Big Black. Me for extra chapters. Big Black looked at the ninth emperor with some fondness and finally turned around and left. In the entire back mountain, only the ninth emperor was left alone. The only sound there was the rustling of the wind. I'm sorry I haven't been able to visit you recently because I met a young man. The ninth emperor smiled. She brushed over the green leaves with her fingers. His cooking skills are excellent, and I am somewhat inseparable from him. So, during this time, I have not been able to come to see you guys. These days, I miss you guys too, but he is holding me back. She could not let go of Nan Chongfeng. That was why she had taken longer to come to look for the two little ones. In the past, she would come to the Divine Herb sect at least every month. The two little ones seemed to be a little upset. Their leaves swayed in the wind and made noises that sounded like they were protesting. The ninth emperor did not care as she sat down on the ground and lay down in the mountains with a smile on her lips. She did not know when this Divine Herb sect had become the most peaceful place for her. In the past, whenever she was tired and exhausted, she would come to the Divine Herb sect. Chapter 2266, The Past Life 191. Only here could she feel calm. It made her feel like the time when her mother was still around. But why now, when she was tired, she no longer thought about the Divine Herb sect? It seemed that it all started when she met Nan Chongfeng, yes. It was after the appearance of the young man. She sometimes even dreamed of him. The ninth emperor smiled helplessly as she lay on the grass, letting the sunlight pour upon her face. The two little spirit herbs next to her quieted down. One of them dropped its leaves and gently blocked the sunlight from the sky for the ninth emperor. She had not felt the quietness of this moment for a long time. Soon, the ninth emperor fell into a deep sleep. No one knew if it was because she was in the Divine Herb sect that she was sleeping peacefully. The heart was also completely calm. The black dragon came to the ninth emperor again, and he gazed down at her face warmly. It was as if he could only see her in his eyes. Except for her, no one else could catch his attention. Perhaps because the ninth emperor was asleep, Big Black did not disturb her but instead sat down not far from her, leaning lazily on the ground, looking sideways at the Ninth Emperor. Even just being able to accompany her made him very satisfied. However, he did not know how long the quietness of this moment would last. The young man sighed, a smile played on his lips. His entire handsome face was shrouded in light, brilliant as the sun. The bright eyes made him look especially stunning. The Ninth Emperor took away the leaves that blocked her gaze and turned to the black dragon. The young man smiled faintly, and his smile was different from Nan Changfeng's. His smile was as brilliant as sunshine. Nan Changfeng's smile, on the other hand, made people's hearts thump. Somehow, the Ninth Emperor thought of Nan Changfeng again. It seemed that after these days together, she became more and more inseparable from him. Me for extra chapters. She did not know what Nan Changfeng was doing during this time when she was not in Cloud Mountain. Could he have secretly left Cloud Mountain? In case of danger, the Ninth Emperor's heart clenched hard and then shook her head. Nan Changfeng had always been obedient, so he would not leave without her permission. Thinking of this, the Ninth Emperor was quite relieved. She looked at the black dragon and asked, "What are you doing over here?" Big Black said pitifully, "You have not come back for so many days, and you only think about these two little ones when you come back. You don't even look at me. You do not know how bored I am alone in your absence." Back then, he had fallen in love with this woman at just a glance. Initially, as a giant dragon transformed by the surrounding spiritual chi, he had a noble status, but he had become a dog that watched the door for her when he came to this woman. After she tricked him, she left him here in the back of the mountain to take care of two small things and then disappeared. Before, she would come back every month, and that was good. But now, it had been almost half a year since she came back to the Divine Herb sect. After she came back, she thought only of these two little ones and did not care about him at all. The more the young man thought, the more aggrieved he felt. He looked at the Ninth Emperor, almost crying. The Ninth Emperor froze. She thought about it and suddenly felt that she had gone over the line. Chapter 2267, The Past Life 192, Then, in the future, if I have time, I will come back to visit you often. The Ninth Emperor seemed helpless. Also, her words seemed to have made the young man's mood look better, but the aggravation in his eyes was still there. Then, how often will you come back later? His handsome face froze, staring at the Ninth Emperor sadly. That look was easy to make the heart soften. Thinking about the distance from Cloud Mountain to the Divine Herb sect was a bit far, it was estimated to take a lot of time. The main thing was, she was tired. She just wanted to lie in the sun at Cloud Mountain and did not go about. How about this? From now on, I will come every 3 months. The Ninth Emperor pondered for a second. At least 3 months, no less. Big Black, who was still trying to protest, was silent after hearing this. No matter what, it was better than what he had before. At least, she promised to come and meet him. Ninth Emperor, are you in a hurry to go back this time? Black Dragon's expectant gaze was fixed upon the Ninth Emperor. The Ninth Emperor hesitated for a few moments and finally shook her head. No, I can stay for a few more days this time. Just for some reason, after saying these words, what came to her mind was Nan Changfeng's handsome face. Every move he made, every smile, was deeply engraved in her brain, unforgettable forever. Perhaps after knowing Nan Changfeng, she could never leave him behind. So, she thought about it and said again, "They'll stay at most a few days, and not more." No matter what, Nan Changfeng was still waiting for her at Cloud Mountain, and she needed to hurry back as soon as possible. However, usually, the Ninth Emperor would not stay longer. Now that she could stay a few more days was considered more than reasonable. The branches and leaves of the two spirit herbs swayed as if in response to the ninth emperor. The ninth emperor sat down on the mountain, leaning on the ground behind her. She smiled slightly, and her white dress was spread over the ground. Big Black stood aside, looking at her sadly. No one knew, back then, he was just able to transform, but then he met this woman, and as a result, he was seduced by her so much that he gave up his freedom and came here to guard this mountain for her. Ninth Emperor, I want to go back to your home with you. The ninth emperor looked sideways at the black dragon boy. Back to my home. At least, in the future, if you cannot come to me, I can still go to you. The black dragon's face flooded with aggrievement. Otherwise, if one day you do not come to me, then I can no longer see you. In this world, he only knew one person, and that was the ninth emperor. If she was no longer around, he would be alone in this world. Alone, no one to rely on. Therefore, this time he intended to go home with her. At least he could know where she lived so that it would be convenient to look for her later. The ninth emperor thought about it and finally nodded. All right. When the time comes, get the people from the Divine Herb sect to take care of these two spirit herbs. You and I will go to Cloud Mountain once, and I will show you the way. Seeing that the ninth emperor agreed, the black-clothed young man only smiled brightly. This young man looked very handsome. That smile was as brilliant as the stars in the sky, so dazzling, the ninth emperor looked away from him to the sky. Chapter 2268, The Past Life 193. I've been out for a while. At this moment, Nan Changfeng once again appeared in her mind, and she smiled. The young man asked with a red face, "Can I be with you in the future?" The ninth emperor refused quickly, so quick that the young man did not have a chance to react. He was confused all of a sudden. His eyes were a little red, and he looked at the ninth emperor with aggrievedness. After all, the black dragon came to the Divine Herb sect for the ninth emperor, and as a result, he was left alone in this place. In 2 days, you will go with me to Cloud Mountain to learn the way. The ninth emperor leaned against the tree behind her and stretched lazily. Oh, by the way. After going to Cloud Mountain, don't turn into a dragon so as not to scare my girls, the black dragon responded reluctantly, and even his voice was a little hoarse. It seemed that in the ninth emperor's heart, she only cared about those girls in Cloud Mountain. Me for extra chapters. She never came back to look at him more than a few times. Ninth emperor, he looked up at the ninth emperor. If I had not become a man but a woman when I first took the human form, would you have taken me to Cloud Mountain? The ninth emperor turned to look at the young man, hesitated for a moment, and asked, "Can you still choose?" The young man's face turned red. I was just stating a hypothesis. The ninth emperor nodded. No. He was a little angry. Why did I get to stay with you, but I have to stay in the Divine Herb sect? Thinking about that fateful year, he was excited to follow the ninth emperor home, and as a result, she had left him alone in this unfamiliar place. He became a dragon watchdog instead. Because, the ninth emperor paused. I need a watchman here, and you are a dragon. Even though she did not understand why, when she had picked up the black dragon, she only asked him to stay at the Divine Herb sect. However, the moment she picked up Nan Changfeng, she thought of bringing him home and raising him. The ninth emperor lazily closed her eyes. I'll rest for a while. The boy in black did not speak and did not leave. He sat down not far from the ninth emperor. It seemed that from the time he met her, he only had eyes for her. As long as she was there, he could no longer see anyone else. He smiled as he looked at the ninth emperor's quiet sleeping face. The sunlight poured and fell upon her face. He did not know how much time had passed. The ninth emperor, who was lying on the ground, was a little uncomfortable. She opened her eyes and looked sideways at the boy in black. What are you doing over there staring at me? Don't you have anything to do? Isn't it time for you to water and fertilize the spirit herbs? You are just staring at me creepily over there. Are you plotting something? The black dragon froze, somewhat aggrieved. I wasn't, I was just looking at you. You're so beautiful, and I can't help but want to stare at you all the time. Since there is nothing, then you should go to fertilize the 2 spirit herbs. They are probably hungry. All right, Big Black answered obediently, but he still could not look away from the 9th Emperor. She always came in a hurry and left in a hurry. So he made sure to enjoy every minute and every second looking at her. Chapter 2268, The Past Life 193. I've been out for a while. At this moment, Nan Changfeng once again appeared in her mind, and she smiled. The young man asked with a red face, "Can I be with you in the future?" The 9th Emperor refused quickly, so quick that the young man did not have a chance to react. He was confused all of a sudden. His eyes were a little red, and he looked at the 9th Emperor with aggrievedness. After all, the Black Dragon came to the Divine Herb sect for the 9th Emperor, and as a result, he was left alone in this place. In 2 days, you will go with me to Cloud Mountain to learn the way. The 9th Emperor leaned against the tree behind her and stretched lazily. Oh, by the way. After going to Cloud Mountain, don't turn into a dragon so as not to scare my girls, the Black Dragon responded reluctantly, and even his voice was a little hoarse. It seemed that in the 9th Emperor's heart, she only cared about those girls in Cloud Mountain. She never came back to look at him more than a few times. 9th Emperor, he looked up at the 9th Emperor. If I had not become a man but a woman when I first took the human form, would you have taken me to Cloud Mountain? The 9th Emperor turned to look at the young man, hesitated for a moment, and asked, "Can you still choose?" The young man's face turned red. I was just stating a hypothesis. The 9th Emperor nodded. No. He was a little angry. Why do they get to stay with you, but I have to stay in the Divine Herb sect? Thinking about that fateful year, he was excited to follow the 9th Emperor home, and as a result, she had left him alone in this unfamiliar place. He became a dragon watchdog instead. Because, the 9th Emperor paused. I need a watchman here, and you are a dragon. Even though she did not understand why, when she had picked up the Black Dragon, she only asked him to stay at the Divine Herb sect. However, the moment she picked up Nan Changfeng, she thought of bringing him home and raising him. The 9th Emperor lazily closed her eyes. I'll rest for a while. The boy in black did not speak and did not leave. He sat down not far from the 9th Emperor. Me for extra chapters. It seemed that from the time he met her, he only had eyes for her. As long as she was there, he could no longer see anyone else. He smiled as he looked at the 9th Emperor's quiet sleeping face. The sunlight poured and fell upon her face. He did not know how much time had passed. The 9th Emperor, who was lying on the ground, was a little uncomfortable. She opened her eyes and looked sideways at the boy in black. What are you doing over there staring at me? Don't you have anything to do? Isn't it time for you to water and fertilize the spirit herbs? You are just staring at me creepily over there. Are you plotting something? The Black Dragon froze, somewhat aggrieved. I wasn't, I was just looking at you. You're so beautiful, and I can't help but want to stare at you all the time. Since there is nothing, then you should go to fertilize the 2 spirit herbs. They are probably hungry. All right, Big Black answered obediently, but he still could not look away from the 9th Emperor. She always came in a hurry and left in a hurry. So he made sure to enjoy every minute and every second looking at her. Chapter 2269, The Past Life 194. The days in the Divine Herb sect were always leisurely. The two spirit herbs also seemed to enjoy this moment, with their leaves lazily basking in the sun. After fertilizing the spirit herbs, Big Black stood in front of the ninth emperor with a look of desire to speak but did not say anything. The ninth emperor seemed to notice the young man. She looked at him sideways. "What's wrong? Is there anything else?" The young man looked at her expectantly. After he followed the ninth emperor to Cloud Mountain, he would find her in the future when he missed her. There was no need to wait here in misery for her to return. The ninth emperor stretched out and smiled. "Well, go back tomorrow." After being away for so long, she did not know how Nan Chongfeng was doing. That smile was so bright, and when he looked at the ninth emperor, there was light glistening in those eyes. It was a light that had never appeared before when he faced others. A few years ago, the ninth emperor picked up the black dragon outside and brought him back home, only to leave him at the divine herb sect. This time, she was not breaking her words. After letting the black dragon pack everything, the ninth emperor intended to depart back to Cloud Mountain. The two spirit herbs probably knew that the ninth emperor was leaving, and they waved their leaves as if they were asking her to stay. The ninth emperor stopped. She looked sideways at the two spirit herbs. She indeed felt a bit reluctant, frowned, and said, "You can't come with me. The terrain of this divine herb sect is suitable for you to grow, and it was for this reason that I built the divine herb sect here." The divine herb sect was built for these two spirit herbs. Therefore, she could not take them away if they had not grown up yet. "You guys must be good and wait for me here. I will come back to see you later when I have time." She smiled and turned to look at the black dragon. "Let's go." After she said these, the young man's figure gradually became larger and transformed into a giant dragon hovering in the sky. With a long leap, the ninth emperor landed on the back of the dragon. The dragon let out a whistling sound, flying swiftly toward the sky not far away, and disappeared in the sky above the divine herb sect. The dragon was very fast. Following the ninth emperor's instructions, it only took a day to travel from the divine herb sect to the sky above Cloud Mountain. The ninth emperor smiled as she looked at the calm Cloud Mountain. It was warm like sunlight. Me for extra chapters. The black dragon put her down from his back, and when he looked up, he saw the woman smile. It was so stunning that he could never forget it. He still remembered the ninth emperor with this gentle smile, reaching out to him and asking him if he wanted to go home with her. After that, he became a dragon to watch the door of the divine herb sect, losing all his freedom. However, he was willing to do so and never regretted it. This is Cloud Mountain. The ninth emperor looked back at the black dragon. Cloud Mountain towered into the clouds and was as ethereal as an earthly fairyland. The black dragon gradually transformed into a young boy standing next to her. "Is this the place where you have been living?" "Yes, if you want to find me in the future, come to Cloud Mountain and look for me." The ninth emperor paused for a moment and said, "However, you have to take care of those two little ones for me first." Chapter 2270, The Past Life 195. After the ninth emperor said that, someone suddenly spoke, and she could not help but look up. In a flash, she saw a handsome face. Nan Chongfeng slowly walked forward to greet her. However, a few moments later, he saw the black dragon. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Yet, soon, he turned back to the ninth emperor. "Ninth emperor, you're back." The moment she saw Nan Chongfeng, the ninth emperor's heart warmed up. She did not know why. After leaving Cloud Mountain, the person she missed the most was Nan Chongfeng. Perhaps she had long gotten used to having his company. "I have been there for several days. It's time to come back. By the way, let me introduce you to someone. This is Big Black." The ninth emperor smiled and spoke. Nan Chongfeng smiled faintly. The surrounding spiritual chi has turned him into a dragon. Its Buddhist spiritual chi is so dense. How can I not see it? The young man wore a white robe and was as handsome as an immortal. The black dragon raised his guard after he saw this young man. He looked at Nan Chongfeng cautiously. He seemed very dissatisfied with the appearance of a man next to the ninth emperor. This man was so handsome that it was enough to make him a little jealous. Big Black bit his sleeve pitifully. Ninth Emperor, who is this? The ninth emperor just gave a simple introduction and did not say anything more. Meanwhile, Nan Chongfeng went forward and draped clothes around the ninth emperor with a gentle gaze and a clear voice. The wind is cold outside. Be careful not to catch the cold. Only after saying this did he look at Big Black. I am the ninth emperor's man, the one who warms her bed. The words bed warmer caused Big Black's face to change dramatically. His handsome face was covered with aggrievedness, and he looked like he was about to cry out. Ninth Emperor, I can also warm beds, and I have known you for a much longer time. Why can't you let me warm your bed? The ninth emperor raised her hand and knocked the black dragon's head. You must go back and take care of the spirit herbs. The black dragon became more aggrieved. Ninth Emperor, now that you have a new love, you don't want the old one. I don't care. If he stays here, he'll stay too, me for extra chapters. If he were too far away from the ninth emperor, maybe at some point, the ninth emperor would be seduced by a wild man. It was really sad to think about it. Compared to Big Black's aggrieved look, Nan Chongfeng was still as calm as the wind. He smiled and looked at the ninth emperor. It seemed as if there was only the ninth emperor in his eyes. Let's go. I've prepared the evening meal for you. The ninth emperor was dumbfounded. You knew I would return today. I don't, but I prepare it daily. That smile, like a warm wind, also warmed the ninth emperor's heart. It turned out that when she was not there, Nan Chongfeng would prepare the evening meal and wait for her. All right, she smiled and turned to look at Big Black. Since you're here, come and have a meal with us. Big Black stared at Nan Chongfeng cautiously. He felt that this young man would become a threat. No matter what, he could not let anyone snatch Ninth Emperor away. The Ninth Emperor could only be his. Chapter 2271, The Past Life 196. During this time, Cloud Mountain was very peaceful. Every day, Nan Chongfeng would prepare food for the Ninth Emperor and bring it to her room, but the others were not so happy, especially the Black Dragon. However, the Ninth Emperor did not let the Black Dragon stay here for too long. After all, there were still 2 spirit herbs that needed to be taken care of. Therefore, the Black Dragon only stayed for a few days before being driven away by the Ninth Emperor. Even though the mainland was calm today, the Ninth Emperor felt a storm coming soon. Fortunately, Nan Chongfeng rarely left Cloud Mountain, which was a little reassuring to the Ninth Emperor. Even so, she did not go to visit the spirit herbs regularly. Even if she went there, she would still come back quickly. The girls of Cloud Mountain were still hostile to Nan Chongfeng, but they had begun to accept him. After spending so much time with each other, they could not let him go. Moreover, the Ninth Emperor would never allow it. So, the rest of the time, it was peaceful. Until one day, the Ninth Emperor left Cloud Mountain for just a day, and Nan Chongfeng received a letter from outside the mountain. He looked at the contents of the letter, and his eyes sank a little. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Subsequently, he burned the letter without even talking to anyone and left Cloud Mountain. Inside the Divine Herb sect, as soon as the Ninth Emperor appeared, the 2 spirit herbs began to move their branches as if greeting her arrival. She descended from the sky and looked at the 2 spirit herbs with a gentle light in her eyes. She took out some spirit water from the medium and poured it onto their branches. The spirit water from the medium was different from the usual one and had a better effect, so that was why she came here every once in a while. The black dragon took the form of a young man and stood behind the ninth emperor. The ninth emperor did not turn around and sat down with her back to the black dragon, smiling. Big Black, do you know, some time ago I had a dream. What dream? I dreamed that you then became a dog. The ninth emperor laughed out loud. She did not know why she always had some strange dreams lately. This time, she dreamed that Big Black became a dog. The black dragon's face darkened. He looked at the girl in front of him and was silent for a moment. If you want, I can become anything. As long as you like it, as long as I can accompany you, to me, it is the greatest satisfaction, me for extra chapters. The ninth emperor sat down and placed her hand on her cheek. She smiled as she looked back at the black dragon. Big Black, how long have you been with me? 5 years. So it's been 5 years. The ninth emperor fell silent. Unknowingly, she and Big Black had known each other for 5 years. 5 years, for cultivation, was not very long, but somehow, she felt that a long time had passed. You have followed me for 5 years. It has been 5 years since I picked up these spirit herbs. If I wait for some more time, they will take human form and not need someone to take care of them anymore. What are your plans for the future? Plans? Big Black was stunned. A moment later, he said, wherever you go, I'll always follow you. From the day he met her, he couldn't leave her again. The smile on the ninth emperor's face disappeared. You've been confined here for too many years. In a few more years, you'll be free. After all, you should have your life too. Somehow, these words made the young man's heart clench fiercely. Did the ninth emperor not want him anymore? Chapter 2272, The Past Life 197, Ninth Emperor, Don't you dare to leave me. The black dragon sounded a little panicked. I was destined to be with you all my life since the day we met. The ninth emperor looked at the black dragon helplessly. I just think that you shouldn't waste all your time on me. She laughed bitterly. The black dragon's heart trembled. What came to his mind was all the memories he had of all these years. From the day he met the ninth emperor, following her to the divine herb sect, and waiting for her every day to the joy of seeing her now, all these years, he had come so far. So how could she just leave him? I will always wait for you at the divine herb sect. Even if you don't come back. I will always wait for you. Even if you don't need me anymore, there is no way for me to leave you. Over the years, he had already gotten used to it. Seeing his persistence, the ninth emperor looked at Big Black and said, if this is your choice, I can't force you to do otherwise. But if one day, you want to be free, I will return your freedom. Big Black choked a little as he looked at the ninth emperor's beautiful face. His eyes were moist. To me, following you is more important than anything else. If he wanted freedom, he would not have followed her to the divine herb sect from the beginning and be confined here for many years. The ninth emperor said no more as she turned and walked into Cloud Mountain. Nan Chongfeng was already waiting for her to have a meal, and his eyes were gentle. It was impossible to look away from her face. Nan Chongfeng did not know if it was his overthinking, but he had always felt that he might have to leave the ninth emperor one day. That was why he spent every second of every day staring at her, carving the image of her onto his mind. Cloud Mountain was quite peaceful. The black dragon had always looked at Nan Chongfeng with displeasure, but he did not cause any trouble. As for Nan Chongfeng, the black dragon's hostility was completely ignored by him. Unfortunately, at this moment, they did not know yet that this kind of peace would be broken after a few days. The next time they met, it would be 1,000 years later. The black dragon transformed into a young boy and appeared before the ninth emperor. He was as handsome as a painting, with an unfading youthfulness on his face. Ninth Emperor, I'm worried about those 2 spirit herbs. But, unfortunately, I have to go back to see them, for extra chapters. The Ninth Emperor had made him take care of the 2 spirit herbs before. He had been in Cloud Mountain for quite a while. He could not let go of the Ninth Emperor, but he had to make sure the 2 spirit herbs were well before he could stay on Cloud Mountain for a much longer time. The Ninth Emperor nodded. All right, you can go. The Black Dragon looked at the Ninth Emperor before turning around. His body gradually elongated and turned into a beam of black light, speeding into the sky and disappearing in a flash. Looking at the Black Dragon departing, the Ninth Emperor withdrew her gaze and frowned. I don't know if it's just my overthinking, but I somehow feel as if something bad will happen soon. But everything will be fine as long as they all stay at Cloud Mountain. As for Big Black, with his strength now, no one can go after him, the Ninth Emperor laughed bitterly. Maybe she was overthinking. However, she did have many enemies in this world, and she had to find a way to eliminate all of them. The Ninth Emperor fell silent as an unreadable light flashed in her eyes. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.